Hey guys, so I thought I would jump on and do a very quick video about the question, can you take too much insulin? The answer to that is yes, but we have to look at the context. Bearing in mind, if our calorie intake is balanced, our body weight is healthy, we're fueling ourselves with enough energy to perform activities, whether that's in the gym, with a sport, or with any physical activity in a job or specific task, then we're generally good to go. And the amount of insulin that you need to take is in direct proportion to the control of your blood glucose levels. And we need to do all we can to keep them in range. Now, there are going to be a couple of circumstances that will maybe influence blood glucose levels negatively, i.e. you'll have to take more insulin than normal to accommodate the increase in blood glucose levels. And that typically comes from certain medications. We can see like caffeine even as a supplement. But in terms of medications, we've got anti-inflammatories, we've got steroids, we've got antibiotics. There's a whole host of different medications that can influence blood glucose levels. And sometimes we have to take more or less insulin to be able to keep our blood glucose levels in range. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the fact of the matter is these drugs or these stimulants are increasing either glucose production from the liver, which is driving glucose levels up, or they're making us more resistant to the insulin. So we have to work around that by dosing appropriately. We've also got stress, we've also got infection, we've got strength training, high intensity exercise. All of these things will result in us taking more insulin than normal for specific foods, or even for just standing static or just doing nothing, not even eating. These particular circumstances will increase blood glucose levels, and we do have to correct them. And there's a big misconception with a lot of people with diabetes that I can't take insulin, it's bad for me, it's going to cause heart disease, it's going to cause weight gain. No, that's incorrect. You have to look at your blood glucose level at an acute moment and realize, is it in range? Is it out of range? If it's out of range, that's detrimental to health, and you have to either correct it or eat carbohydrates to bring yourself out of hypoglycemia. So understand that being out of range is unhealthy. Taking insulin to bring you in range is healthy and necessary. Now, in the context of taking too much insulin, yes, of course. First of all, if you mistime your insulin or you overdose it, for example, you're going to end up taking a hypoglycemia. And if you're using injectable insulin, that is one of the major side effects, hypoglycemia. So hypoglycemia is a result of having too much circulating insulin in your system. So again, if that happens, go back and trace, when was my last dosage? Did I take too much? What food did I have? Did I exercise after eating? Typically, if you're going to have a set dose for a set meal, that's fine. But if you're going to have a set dose for a set meal, then you do some form of walking, sex, it could be any form of low intensity exercise, then there's a high probability that that current dose of insulin is going to be too much. So it's again understanding all these concepts, and this is something that we really hammer home in a lot of the insulin dosing modules inside the training lab. That's our members site. Because so many people with diabetes think that they have to take a fixed dose and that's them sorted. No, it's not. Your body is dynamic, life is dynamic, there's so many different changing circumstances, and you got to be able to actively predict, you got to be actively able to speculate as to how your blood glucose levels are going to respond. On top of that, if you're taking too much insulin, then you're going to take too many hypos, then you're going to have to eat. And as a result of that, that is going to influence body composition. Secondly, if you just love food and you have a huge appetite, then that is also going to result in you taking insulin. And the more food you take, the more insulin you're going to have. Yes, carbohydrates have the greatest effect, but so does protein and so does fat, and they have a greater effect combined. So if you're eating a lot of food because you're maybe emotionally unstable and you want to confide in food, a lot of us do. If you're bored, procrastinating and eating out of the cupboards, if you're coming in at night and your cupboards are full of rubbish, then yeah, you're going to overeat. But the fact is that is going to result in more insulin, more energy storage, and if you're not burning that off, that's going to result in increased fat gain, which is in turn going to promote obesity, which is in turn going to promote cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and all the nasty complications associated with obesity. And then you've got diabetes. And you can rest assured, if you're eating a lot of food and you're always putting in carbohydrate, fat, and protein all the time, all day, especially from hyperpalatable foods, that is junk food, food that tastes amazing, goes down very quick, but doesn't really fill you up. And it's also very high in calories, fat, and sugar. You can rest assured you're going to have like pretty high blood glucose levels. So high blood glucose levels, a lot of food consumption, a lot of insulin, recipe for disaster. So yes, you can take too much insulin, but provided your body weight's good, you're taking enough energy for your activity and your training, and you're getting a broad mix of colors in your diet, you're eating enough protein, you're getting your essential fats in, you're getting enough fiber in, then you take as much insulin as you need to keep your blood glucose level stable. And that is different for everyone. So sometimes whenever I announce my blood glucose range and what I take as an insulin dose into the group or into the training lab, people are very confused. Wow, that's a lot of insulin. Yeah, but my body's completely different to yours. So again, you have to understand that everybody's dose is unique, and their response to certain foods, certain medications, and everything is also different as well. So, can you take too much insulin? The answer is it depends, and there's a yes and there's a no, and I've explained those well. So, if you find that useful, guys, don't be afraid to head over to the Diabetic Muscle and Fitness website, diabeticmuscleandfitness.com. Click into the members training lab and go and review some of the execution guides and documents we have on insulin dosing. The stuff inside those manuals, the research, the science, the amount of stuff we've actually extracted and made into layman's terms for people with diabetes that really want to optimize their control without stepping on eggshells around their doctor and asking questions that they know we're never going to get answered or they're going to get looked down upon. We've answered all those, and we've put it together in an incredible resource. We've just over 1,500 members in there from all around the world. We've got America, we've got South Africa, we've got UK, we've got Ireland, we've got New Zealand, we've got Spain, we've got Europe. We've got pretty much everyone from everywhere with type 1 diabetes in there. So it's a great place to network and connect as well. So I'm going to love you and leave you guys. I hope you find that useful, and I'll see you soon.